Welcome to Make Something with me, David Picciuto, and today we're gonna do some sign making and some woodblock printing, a 2-for-1 deal. Check it. Due to poor planning and a series of unfortunate events, I had to record our podcast called Making It with Jimmy and Bob today, and then Dan showed up because I forgot to tell Dan that I can't record on this particular day. So Dan's here unexpectedly, and I don't have a project ready. Jimmy and Bob came up with the project that we're going to do today. If you want to listen to that whole long story of all the crazy things that happened today, go check out that episode of the podcast. But long story short, we're going to do some printing and some letter making and some sign making. My grandfather, he has a phrase that he says all the time.
Keep moving.
96 years old, in the wood shop every day, making things that he loves. So today, I'm going to take my grandfather's phrase of keep moving and do two things with it. I'm going to make a sign, and then I'm going to make a stamp that I can make prints with that. This is Osage orange. This actually came from my grandfather, so it kind of completes the story. That's my grandfather's phrase. My grandfather gave me this piece of wood. And so we're gonna make the stamps. We're going to resaw part of the stamp off and then turn that into a sign. Probably doesn't make sense now. I need to resaw this into two halves, and one half is going to have the word keep and the other half is going to have the word moving. After we resaw that, I'm going to draw up on a piece of paper. We're going to transfer that piece of paper and then go cut out those letters over on the bandsaw. Enough talking, let's get making. Just going to freehand here. I have no idea if this is going to work out. I don't want a lot of trapped area, so I'm trying to get rid of this. So maybe if I take the E and I kind of angle them, and then the only trapped area is this, and we can drill that out with a drill. That's what you drill with. Dan is pressuring me to make this perfect. So I think we have what we want after a couple tries. I'm gonna go with that. Now we're gonna take some spray adhesive and attach this to our boards, and we'll see what happens. But, as Grandpa would say,
keep moving.
And then we're going to resaw part of this over on the bandsaw so we can use one layer of it for a wooden sign and the rest of it for our print. So we're going to set this to the side, and we're going to use this for our printing block. So I need to flatten the face. So I'm going to put some sandpaper on my bench, which I know is flat, and then sand that down. Then I think I need to give a little separation to the letters. So I'm going to carve just a little, you know what I'm saying? Just a little. Get my Lee Nielsen chisels out of the drawer here. I just got done carving out the shadow lines and realized I did it on the wrong side. I need to do it on the back side. So I get to start over.
Keep moving.
I have no idea what I'm doing. So I have these two walls glued on there. That'll be my registration mark for the paper. So now I'm gonna glue this in, hot glue, so I can remove it if I need to. All right, so we're gonna do a test with the jig here. A little bit more ink and I think we'll be okay. So while all those are drying, we're going to take off that piece that we resawed earlier and glue it on this 1/8 inch piece of plywood. What do you think about right there? That is why we have the sled. We made that picture frame in about 10 minutes. I mean, minus glue up, reinforcing the joints, sanding, staining, glass cutting, matte cutting. And we're just going to glue this piece in there. We're going to fill the other side with epoxy. So I'm going to seal off the back side so the epoxy doesn't leak through. So we're kind of using this as silicone. So now we're going to mix up a bunch of epoxy, color this with some pigment. You don't need much. Use the frame as the reservoir. Use this little butane torch to get some of the bubs out. Bub stands for bubbles. That's pretty good. So we're gonna let that dry for 24 hours. I'll rub some oil on there, sand the frame a little bit. We'll call that done. If you want to check out the video that I made on my 96-year-old grandfather who's still in the shop woodworking every day, I'll have a link up top as well at the end of the video. There'll also be a link down in the description of the weekly podcast that I do with Jimmy DeResta and Bob Claggett, and that's called Making It. I will be selling these 36 prints on my website at makesomething.com. Patreon supporters get first dibs and also a heavy discount. So if you're a Patreon supporter, you probably have already received an email to get first dibs on these. When they are gone, they are gone. There's just 36 of them. The Osage orange did come from my grandfather. The frame is made from rustic maple, and that came from my friends at Kencraft. You can visit them at kencraftcompany.com. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next week with a brand new project. As always, be safe, have fun, stay passionate, and make something.
Keep moving.